here's Brody Brazil.
You know, it's rare when this happens that I already know the title basically of this video before I'm actually recording it, but I can already tell you it's something that I don't necessarily subscribe to or agree with. The thought of winning the winter for a Major League Baseball team, in this case, the Giants. You can't win anything in the winter. Yeah, you can make your team better, but there's no games now. Not until the spring and what happens in the summer and ultimately what happens in the fall. That's where the winning happens. The only thing you can win right now is perception and opinion. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Okay, all that established, I also do understand what the thought here is. How can you make yourself a better team in the winter? How can you have a good winter that would translate to you having a good summer? That's probably the better way to put it. But again, for anybody to say that they won the winter, like even the Dodgers, you don't know that yet. That's the beauty of sports. Before anything else, let's step back. Let's take a 10,000-foot view of where the Giants are at. And we'll begin with just the facts. Ohtani's landing in Los Angeles, I understand it's just going to sting. And it's just going to be that way for months, seasons, the entire decade, I don't know. And it's not just that the Giants were in on it and they say had a similar deal, $700 million offered to him, but it's also going to be the fact that they didn't land him, but the fact that he lands in the division in Los Angeles and with all that deferred payment that's going to help them be a competitive team during all of his 10 years with no opt-outs under contract there. So that's just going to loom. I wish I could say something different about it, but that exists. Also, the whole conversation from last week about the San Francisco reputation and maybe being part of the Ohtani process, and Buster Posey said it's come up in other negotiations and discussions. I'm here just to remind everybody that that's mostly a distraction. Can we say, number one, that San Francisco is going through a surge of issues? Yeah, I think to some degree we can say that. But can we also equally at least say that much of the big deal that's being made here is simply for political gain? It's an exaggeration for political reasons, has nothing to do with sports. And certainly teams like the Warriors or 49ers don't have any problems landing top players and high contracts. So yeah, mostly a distraction. You can't dismiss every single part of that, but I don't think you can say that that is a legitimate reason in the big picture. Maybe in certain small instances here and there, there's something to it, but in the big picture, mostly a distraction. I also think something to consider is the division is still wicked. You've got the National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks in it and trying to win it still. They've only improved their team with some free agent signings. Obviously, the Dodgers going all in on Ohtani and more. And let's not forget the Padres. They're still the Padres. They just don't have Bob Melvin, probably minus a few other pieces, but they can still do some damage. I mean, really, the only team you look at and say, okay, thank you, is the Rockies right now. I would say the NL West is right up there with traditionally the AL East, how that's always been a beast of a division. I mean, the NL West is easily giving it a run for its money. But all that established, and getting back to our main point here, if you're the Giants, you still have a chance, despite all of that, to narrow in, to look in the mirror, to focus on yourself, and you still have the chance to build a great team. And that's what it's all about in the end. Building a great team that can compete, that can be sustainable, that can give yourself a chance to be in a playoff situation. Jung Hoo Lee, that's where the signings started, really, for San Francisco. I loved his press conference. Well, I'll step back. Even before that, I watched a ton of video. I love his swing from the left side, and not to go to the direct, immediate, and obvious comparison of Ichiro, but when you find out that he wears 51 because of Ichiro, I mean, the swing was probably modeled after that as well, too. Such a sweet stroke. Probably not going to hit a lot of homers, might find a gap or two, but seems like he's going to get a ton of singles and get on base a lot, and probably going to be your leadoff guy. But let me just go back to this, the personality at the press conference. He was humble, he was respectful, but he also showed some confidence, showed who he was. Yeah, look at him and his dog, right? Just simple stuff like that. And that's stuff you need on a team in general, but especially you need on a team like the Giants. It just seems like looking back at their past several decades, that's when they're doing their best, when they've got good players who are also great personalities, or vice versa. He's definitely somebody that Giants fans want to follow, and I'm not here to say that maybe even the first half of this upcoming season will be his best, right? There's going to be a big adjustment period, him to pitchers, pitchers to him. He's never seen anything like Major League Baseball before. The velocity, the type of pitches and pitchers in this league, it's the best in the world for a reason. But give it time. Give him the opportunity to adjust. You know he's capable of it. And it's the start. Jung Hoo Lee is a start of something in San Francisco. If you want to talk about winning the winter, right? Okay. It can't start and end all with just one player and maybe some corresponding surrounding moves. There have to be some other splashes. Yeah, you got to make some more moves. Hello, Blake Snell. Hello, Matt Chapman. Good to see you. And so what if the Giants ended up with Jung Hoo Lee and these two and some others, but these are the biggest splashes. If we're talking about contracts in the 9-figure range, what if these are two more that could happen in the coming weeks or months, obviously before next season? Like, are we in the winning the winter category yet? Blake Snell, let me read this write-up from MLB.com. I'm not sure everybody's aware of this. Like, they know he just won the NL Cy Young, but on May 19th, Snell was 1-6. Yeah, May 19th of last year, 1-6 with a 5.40 ERA after 9 starts, leading many to project that he was costing himself a ton of money in this upcoming free agent sequence here. From that point forward, he was arguably the best pitcher in all of baseball, going 13-3 with a 1.20 ERA across his final 23 starts. Snell, the 2018 American League Cy Young Award winner, it said could, I changed it to did. He did add a second Cy Young to his resume this season, which would make the lefty only the 7th pitcher to earn that honor in both leagues, right? So that's pretty cool. Cy Young in 2018, Cy Young in 2023, potentially a San Francisco Giant in 2024. And you do need pitching, right? It's been a decent enough rotation. You obviously already have Logan Webb doing his thing. Wouldn't this be a nice complementary 1-2 punch? And if you do talk about a playoff situation, look at your playoff rotation, your 3-man playoff rotation, instantly getting a lot more dominant. And I'm going to skip the MLB.com summary on Matt Chapman, and I'm actually going to skip the Blue Jays picture. Sorry, Toronto, but I want to vibe here on personal experiences with Chappie during his time in Oakland. I got to see it all firsthand, like in person, but also behind the scenes as well, too. This guy, and I've got to know his dad a little bit, I know his family a little bit, this guy's a born winner. He's not coming anywhere to just, get his and settle for whatever the team does. He wants to win. He wants his team to win. A lot of big leaguers do, but you especially get that vibe from Matt Chapman. He loves Bob Melvin. I've said this before, almost like a father figure. And the way that Bo Mel would hit him grounders during batting practice before every game, and they'd have a challenge kind of back and forth where Bob would try and hit him past Chappie. Almost never could, but there was that competition. There was that respect. They've already got that. Chapman also a Boras represented player, Scott Boras, his agent. Same thing with Jung Hoo Lee. So there's already that connection in San Francisco. Chapman loves California. He's a SoCal guy. He's a West Coast guy. I think he'd be very happy here in California. In fact, I may know that specifically that he'd be very happy in California. A hard worker. Again, that goes to the born winner part of this. He's going to outwork you. He's never going to be satisfied with the way things are going. And my comp in all of this, like if you're a Giants fan and you kind of just know the name, he's obviously never played in the National League yet, but who really is Matt Chapman? Do you remember a guy named Matt Williams? Yeah. Did you like Matt Williams as a Giant? Because if you do, this is Matt Williams in a lot of ways, part 2. Not identical, but part 2. The glove for me with Chapman is obviously the guarantee. I mean, there he is holding up his gold glove, his platinum glove. Who even knew that was a thing until he got one? I didn't. But the glove is going to play all the time. And if you're the Giants, great. You take that at the hot corner. But what you hope is that the offense, and it has come and gone in spikes and surges, you hope that he can find some consistency. Because when And I don't say if, but when he puts that together, the consistent offense with the sure-handed defense, I mean, and this guy, he's got good range, he's got a great glove, but it's his arm. Sometimes his arm buys him out of maybe the step or two that he wishes he had or anything else, the plays and the balls he's able to get to in the hole. His arm bails him out of so many things. Anyway, Matt Chapman would be a great signing for San Francisco. So now you get the bigger picture here, right? Like you've already got a Webb and you've got a Duvall and you've got a Bailey. You've got a late night Lamont, by the way. Like late game situations, that dude is a beast. You've got an Estrada. You've got some interesting players. And if I omitted one of your favorites here, I just kind of, can only fit so many on one screen at one time. But you've got the starts of an interesting team and a team with some chemistry and a team that can do some damage. Add in a Jung Hoo Lee. Bob Melvin is an addition, no matter how you look at it. Throw in a Blake Snell. Throw in a Matt Chapman. Now take a look at this group, right? And I know what you're going to do. You're going to instantly compare it to the Dodgers. You're going to instantly put it side by side with the Padres. You got to do this. You got to build your own best version of the team. And if you're telling me that this is not winning the winter, I think you're crazy. I think this is winning the winter, and I think that's how the perception would be. But it's not going to be this easy. The Giants have made two of those signings, like Jung Hoo Lee and Bob Melvin. They need Snell and they need Chapman to make it officially interesting and to win the winter, so to speak. I don't know how much it's going to cost them. I don't know what their ambitions are or intentions are. And obviously there's a bunch of other free agents out there that they'll be chasing after. But I'm picking these two more, right? If you can add these two more, despite whatever happened with all the other teams, I think you'd have to be pretty satisfied and say that you won the winter. You know what I didn't address at the very beginning? What's the dude doing on a skateboard at Oracle Park? Who is that? What? Huh? Must be. It must have all been orchestrated, that's probably somebody famous too. Now I'm really embarrassing myself. It's probably a famous skateboarder the Giants brought in, gave him a jersey and everything. Hey, do some cool tricks. We'll take some pictures. Anyway, just thought it was an eye-catching picture of Oracle Park. Anyway, the Giants, I think, can still win the winter. If that's your thing and you want to win the winter, like they can still do it. I just showed you how. And it could be a variation. If it's not Blake Snell, somebody else. If it's not Matt Chapman, somebody else. There are options out there right now. We're still relatively early in the free agency period because of Ohtani's signing taking a while. Yamamoto's signing taking a while. As I record this, still hasn't happened. So we're still kind of late breaking in all of this. We'll see what the Giants do. Hey, you made it here to the end of the video. You know I appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. Also, in the comments, let me know what you'd like to see next in terms of Giants coverage, other teams coverage, other sports coverage, somebody you'd like me to talk to and interview here on the channel. But most importantly, make sure you're subscribing so I can definitely see you back here next time.